Good afternoon and welcome to St. Thomas University's Spring Convocation. I am Dr. Kim Fenwick, Vice President, Academic and Research, and the convener for today's ceremony. Please remain standing as the University Chaplain, Father Sean Daly, gives the invocation.
Please allow me to begin by quoting a Canadian, an author, a cancer survivor, Ronald Rolheiser. Good parents, good mothers and fathers do it for their children. In all kinds of ways, they sacrifice their lives for their children. They die, but their children live. Good teachers do it for their students. Good mentors for their protégés. Good priests for their parishioners. Good doctors and nurses do it for their patients. Good politicians for their countries. Good elders for the blessing of the young. Do you wish to bless a young person? Give him or her your job. Give him or her some of your power. Step back. Let him or her assume some of your leadership that you have been exercising. Let his or her opinion overrule yours. That, my friends of the class of 2017, is my prayer for you.
I would now like to invite our elder in residence, Big Mahan, to provide a traditional welcome both to this unceded Wolastoqey territory and to our convocation.
Akchikisuk, Tijahamijina, mi wedem dandeligan muyak mimachuahan. Mi wedem dandel mawaliek, akchikisok, chijahamijina, iginamuin and mulki ganodi, giskuk, miguidedem and dawajusit hamudikuk, ach debiganaden and ankodemen and kijinu mahamigo, ahulayaroten and dandesutik mimajuinuk, menagaluto and dautiminu, ach galuto mimajuahan. I want to thank you for this opportunity to express a collective voice to address to the sacred. And so it was in my language, the first language of this territory. And I want to express thanksgiving. I had expressed in my language thanksgiving for the life that's been given to all of us, and that we remember why we have, remember our full responsibility as human beings. And I offered a prayer requesting that we also remember why we returned to this, in this life form, and to have the strength and the courage to be able to work together on behalf of all life on this planet, on our Great Mother. So, and that life will replenish and nurture you continuously, and for all the 7 generations here to come. Thank you.
It is now my pleasure to introduce the platform party, and I ask that each member stand briefly when I say their name, and that we hold applause until all members have been introduced. Lieutenant Governor, Her Honor Jocelyn Roy Viano. Premier of New Brunswick, the Honorable Brian Gallant. The Most Reverend Robert Harris, Bishop of St. John and Chancellor of the University. Mr. Peter Forrestal, Chair of the Board of Governors. President and Vice Chancellor Don Russell. The Honorable Noel Kinsella. Mr. Alex Neve, Honorary Degree Recipient. Mrs. Sandra Irving, honorary degree recipient. Migmahan, elder in residence. Reverend Sean Daly, university chaplain. Mayor of Oromakto, the Honorable Robert Powell. Mayor of New Maryland, the Honorable Judy Wilson Shee. Deputy Commander, Lieutenant Colonel Byron Conway, 5th Canadian Division Support Base. Dr. Barry Craig, Principal, Huron University College. Ms. Lily Fraser, Vice President, Finance and Administration. Ms. Jody Michelle, Vice President, Advancement and Alumni Relations. Dr. Michael Boudreau, Dean of Humanities and Acting Dean of Social Sciences. Karen Preston, Registrar. Scott Duguay, Associate Vice President, Enrollment Management. Mr. Frank McBrearty, President, Alumni Association Board. Please join me in welcoming the platform party. I now invite Professor Don Russell, President and Vice Chancellor of St. Thomas University, to come forward and address the convocation.
Your Honor, Lieutenant Governor Jocelyn Roy-Vigneault, Premier Gallant, Bishop Harris, Mr. Forrestal, honorary degree recipients, platform guests, faculty and staff, members of the graduating class of 2017, ladies and gentlemen, I am pleased to welcome you all to our Spring 2017 Convocation. As President, one of my greatest pleasures is witnessing the success of our students and the conferral of degrees upon them at Convocation. And as President, of course, I do love to boast about the accomplishments of our faculty and about the many and varied successes of our students, from their impressive record of achievement in attracting scholarships to pursue graduate studies and professional degrees, to their lively theatrical and musical performances, and from their athletic achievements to their outstanding record of community service. St. Thomas has long been known for producing informed, engaged citizens who are actively involved in their communities and in their province. And this reputation was substantiated by the recent National Baccalaureate Survey on Graduate Outcomes, which revealed that St. Thomas graduates have significantly higher engagement levels than their peers nationally with civic issues, as well as with broader issues such as environmental sustainability and social diversity, and they are more likely than their peers nationally to support community causes and social justice and human rights concerns. And I know that today's graduates will be just as engaged in these concerns as the graduates who have preceded them. Instead of calling attention to the many individual accomplishments of our faculty, I want to take this opportunity to publicly thank our faculty collectively for their continued success in delivering the kind of education which we promise our students, an education which teaches them to think critically and independently and to communicate well orally and in writing. While we all recognize the shortcomings of many external ranking systems, it is heartening to know that when graduates' voices are heard, STU continues to perform exceptionally well. In the fall 2015 issue and in the spring 2017 issue of Maclean's magazine, in a section called Students Speak Out, St. Thomas University was ranked #1 in Canada on the writing ability indicator and #2 in Canada for helping them develop strong critical thinking and problem-solving skills. These tremendously positive results are noteworthy for several reasons. They are in the areas that are at the heart of what we do and value as a liberal arts institution, in areas on which we have chosen to focus and excel, and they are in the form of direct feedback from our graduates, whose feedback is compared to the graduates of all other Canadian universities. They demonstrate not only the value of the collective dedication of our faculty, but also the appreciation of our graduates for the contribution which faculty make to their development and success. Now, I'd like to turn my attention to today's graduates. We have about 350 graduates, most from our Bachelor of Arts programs. We have one Bachelor of Social Work graduate today and a couple of Bachelor of Applied Arts. Part of this celebration, too, is our formal recognition of our honorary degree recipients, lawyer and human rights activist, Mr. Alex Neve, and philanthropist and champion of post-secondary education, Sandra Irving. Two individuals whose lives and examples we hope will inspire you. For you, our graduates, today's convocation ceremony marks the completion of the journey you began when you arrived at STU, and for us, it's an opportunity to recognize your achievement and to welcome you formally as members of the St. Thomas alumni. Many years ago, in fact, 40 years ago, this spring, I completed a similar journey here at St. Thomas, on which I forged friendships which I can tell you now have lasted a lifetime, and was given an educational foundation that prepared me well for the challenges and opportunities that later came my way. I hope that in the future you will feel the same fondness and gratitude which I feel for our small but mighty university, as Premier Gallant has sometimes called it. Today is the beginning of a new chapter of your lives, a time to celebrate your accomplishments, to consider your future, but also to reflect on the assistance and support which you've received. Most of us accomplish very little in life without the help or support from others. There are many family members and friends here today to cheer you on, and I know that you are grateful for the help, encouragement, understanding, and perhaps financial support, without which many would not have achieved what they have today. So I want to take a moment and ask you, our graduating class, to stand and to convey your thanks and gratitude to family and friends through a warm round of applause. Thank you. Today we have, as I said, one graduate from our Bachelor of Social Work program, and as a social worker, you're going to provide a vital service to the community. Although I know you understand that the responsibilities of your work can be tough, you'll be called upon to make difficult decisions, and very often you'll have to make choices between options, none of which seem ideal. But I think you also know that you will meet some amazing people, people who have been presented with extreme challenges, but who confront those challenges with courage and conviction. And you will get to experience, too, the best part of yourself. I am expecting that in your interactions with people, you will find that you have more generosity, more patience, more humility than you thought you did. You will change lives. When those of you graduating with your Bachelor of Arts came to us a few years ago, if you think back to the first day, you came to us from different places with diverse backgrounds. Many of you were nervous about whether you'd fit in, about whether a Bachelor of Arts program or the St. Thomas University were the right place for you, whether you'd find soulmates. But somehow, if you're here today, you have found your way, you've cut your own path, and I think most of you have found and forged some very strong friendships. I hope you'll cherish the friendships, the mentorships, the memories that you've made here. As you graduate, we're in a period of financial constraint and with fewer job opportunities in many spheres. And meanwhile, in the current economic and social context, the liberal arts are under attack and their contribution to the workplace is sometimes undervalued. You may hear some critics say that the humanities and social sciences and their graduates are not immediately employable. I want to set the record straight. The evidence shows otherwise. On average, humanities graduates and social science graduates have a comparable employment rate to graduates in other degrees. In 2008, the year the recession hit, those who were employed in Canada were 95% of engineering graduates, 94% of health workers, 91% of humanities and social science graduates. And furthermore, a recent Maritime Provinces Higher Education Commission Graduates Outcomes Survey showed that 5 years after graduation, 95% of humanities and social science graduates are employed. 92%, they said they were satisfied with their jobs and had an average median salary, almost double what they were earning 2 years out. Many of our graduates go on to pursue professional or graduate degrees. Last spring, at a meeting of Canada's university presidents in Toronto, the president of the Royal Bank of Canada, David Mcentee, came to speak to the presidents about employer demand for liberal arts graduates. He remarked that we hear a lot about science, technology, engineering, and math, the STEM subjects, and about entrepreneurship and innovation. But he was really there to say that while he noted that the talent pool is improving overall, he expressed concern that the erosion of liberal arts is a problem both for universities, for business, and for our society. In business, he said, we need a lot more of the soft skills that campuses were traditionally good at. Effective oral and written communication skills, the capacity for critical thinking and analytical reasoning, the ability to analyze and solve complex problems, to connect choices to ethical decisions, and a global understanding and cultural sophistication. These, he noted, are the strengths of a liberal arts education. The liberal arts help us to understand, to interpret the human experience, from individuals to entire cultures. They enable us to rediscover the past and connect it to the present to enable a deeper understanding of contemporary society. They teach us to weigh evidence skeptically, to consider more than one side of every question, and encourage us to think creatively. They teach us to reason about being human and to ask important questions about our world. Liberal arts develop informed and critical citizens. They prepare you to adjust rapidly to a changing world, and without the liberal arts, a democracy will not flourish. And in this post-truth era that we now find ourselves in, these skills are more important for Canada and for the world than they have ever been before. Canada needs graduates like you who understand the importance of thinking independently, of looking for facts and evidence and challenging what others present as the truth. So the value of a liberal arts education is worth both the private and public investment, engaged citizens, workforce development, and a strong society. In Lewis Carroll's Alice in Wonderland, there's a passage where Alice asks the Cheshire Cat, "Would you tell me which way I ought to go from here?" And I expect that many of you are asking the same question today. The Cheshire Cat's simple answer was, "That depends a good deal on where you want to go." A simple answer, but full of wisdom. It's natural to worry about your future, but don't just worry. Don't wait for someone else to determine your path. Create it for yourself. You determine the direction you're going to take. Like STU graduates before you, you will eventually find your way to an exciting and fulfilling future. For more than 100 years, St. Thomas has educated leaders in almost every field of endeavor. Today, you're going to leave us with a degree in hand. But it's important to understand that that alone is not enough, and it never has been. Indeed, over time, life teaches us that success in life, however you define it, requires personal qualities, talents and skills that we can neither test nor teach at university. The creativity, people skills, street smarts, a capacity for hard work, but I would call persistence and grit, a personal sense of responsibility, integrity, and a certain boldness or chutzpah. These are qualities I know that you all have, and I hope that you will dig deep and use those qualities to determine your own future. As a group, those of you graduating today have contributed greatly to the richness and vibrancy, the caring and compassion that characterize our small community, and to the intellectually and culturally diverse life of our community through your involvement in a vast array of activities. And we want to thank you for that. Some of you have had to overcome tremendous obstacles to achieve what you have today, from personal illnesses and disabilities to family illnesses and loss of friends and loved ones, from financial hardships to family responsibilities. And making it to the final leg of your journey while coping with such challenges is a triumph to celebrate. I know that those of you graduating today are concerned with your own future, but I also know that you are concerned with your fellow human beings and with the problems and challenges that confront our province, our region, and our country. Don't be awed or paralyzed by the immensity of those problems. You know that these conditions won't improve on their own and that you have a responsibility and a role to play in changing them. And I know that you will do that, like St. Thomas graduates before you. As you leave the shelter of our small community here at STU, be bold, be courageous, approach the future with confidence, and grab the opportunities that come your way. They may lead to a future better than you ever imagined. And finally, remember how blessed we are in this society, in Canada, and in the world to have a university education and give back to the community in which you live. I know you're going to make us proud. Keep in touch. Congratulations and best wishes to you all.
Thank you, President Russell. I now invite Premier Brian Gallant to come forward and bring greetings from the province of New Brunswick. Brian Gallant.
To start off, I'd ask all our friends here in the room to give a big round of applause to congratulate today's graduates. So please. As you can see, people are proud of you, and rightfully so. This is a great day for you. I'm really happy to be here to celebrate with you, and as you can see, there are so many of your friends, your family, and your supporters that wanted to be here with you as well, and I'm sure there are many that couldn't be here that would love to be and that are thinking of you today. I want to just say a quick couple things, if you'll allow me. First off, I just want to stress how much we all recognize that you worked very hard to be where you are today. As was said by Dr. Russell, you went through trials and tribulations, you went through highs and lows, but you made it. And no one can ever take that away from you. So we're so pleased that you've made this investment in yourselves. We're so pleased that you've decided to pursue your education. And not only because it's fantastic for you as individuals, it's fantastic to get as much education as you possibly can through very formal and informal means to be able to fulfill your best full potential, but also because it's good for the province. Education is crucial for our economy. It's crucial for our social fabric. It's crucial for the future of not only New Brunswick, but of course, the country. So I'm so happy to be here to celebrate with all of you today. You all chose a wonderful institution. St. Thomas University is fantastic on so many fronts. Dr. Russell, I think, made a great case as to why not only is St. Thomas University a gem for the province and the country, but also why the degrees in education that you just went through is crucial for the future of our province and country. I want to just tell you that I think St. Thomas University is pretty wonderful, and it's more informal where my analysis comes from. It comes from the fact that around me, I've had people that have graduated from St. Thomas University helping me out in many shapes and forms. I've had my communication staff, I've had executive assistants, I've had principal secretaries, chiefs of staff of my office that have graduated from St. Thomas University. So I can tell you in a very informal way that St. Thomas is a wonderful institution. It churns out great people that have a lot to contribute to New Brunswick. I would not be doing my job today if I didn't try to convince every single one of you sitting here to stay in the province after you leave those chairs. So I just want to let you know that we here in New Brunswick are working hard to make it the best we possibly can for people to live, work, and raise a family. We're working really hard, and we've seen some good results. Working with all the people in this room and people like the people in this room across the province, we've seen the economy grow in 2015 and 16. In fact, 2015, 2016, and the estimated growth in 2017 has provided 3 times more of an economic growth rate than we saw in the 8 years previous in New Brunswick. We have lots of challenges, but we have so many opportunities and good things happening in the province that will only be enhanced, and our challenges will only be overcome if people in this room, and certainly the people sitting in the chairs in front of us, help us out. We also are working hard to make sure that people have a good quality of life. We were very pleased here in New Brunswick that in 2016, wages went up. They went up by 3%, which was the largest increase that any province in Canada saw in 2016. And on top of that, probably my favorite statistic, and I'll stop boring you with stats, Conference Board of Canada just recently looked at all the provinces in Canada, and it rated New Brunswick as having the best quality of life. This confirms what we already know. We have awesome people, beautiful landscapes, innovative businesses, and lots of potential. So give a big round of applause to the fact that we're #1 when it comes to quality of life in the country. So there's lots of good things happening, and there are lots of interesting challenges to overcome. So I ask and strongly encourage every single one of you to check out nbjobs.ca. There are about 3,000 jobs waiting for New Brunswickers and people like you right now. And I also encourage you strongly to do what you can to change the world from right here in New Brunswick. Now, if you ever doubt that you can't change the world, if you ever doubt that some of your ideas and some of you and your friends and some of you and the people you're working with can't change the world, I'd like to leave you with a quote from Margaret Mead. It's one of my favorite quotes because it reminds us the impact we can have on the world. And it goes like this: "Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has." So you can make a difference, and you can make that difference from right here in New Brunswick. Merci beaucoup. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Premier Gallant. Well, our primary purpose at Convocation is to bestow degrees on our graduating students. St. Thomas University also presents honorary degrees to individuals who have distinguished themselves either in academic or cultural service circles or in service to society. Today, we are privileged to bestow honorary degrees on international human rights activist Alex Neve and philanthropist Sandra Irving. Through their service to society, both recipients represent the high ideals that we strive to instill in our students through a liberal arts education. At St. Thomas University, we emphasize personal growth and the cultivation of individuality as we aim to develop well-rounded individuals with depths of human understanding. Our world needs citizens who can contribute to the betterment of society, and we believe that a liberal education enhances humanity. These attributes are found in the lives and achievements of our 2 honorary degree recipients. They are worthy of honor by St. Thomas University for their individual accomplishments and for the ideals that they model through the example of their lives. Will Sandra Irving please stand? Sandra Irving is a champion of higher education. noting that what she and her husband, Arthur Irving, like to do best is simply to help students. This help is significant. She has worked alongside her husband in the development of the K.C. Irving Environmental Science Center and Harriet Irving Botanical Gardens, a gift to Acadia University from the Irving family. They support students at UMB, Acadia, Dartmouth College, St. Thomas University, St. Francis Xavier, St. Mary's, and the University of Toronto. And they have supported the career aspirations of some of the province's best student athletes. Her encouragement of young people is also recognized in her work with Junior Achievements New Brunswick Business Hall of Fame, where she served as chair. She also served as a board member of UMB, the Roosevelt International Park Commission, the St. John Regional Hospital Health Authority, Theatre New Brunswick, Drug Awareness Resistance Education, Dialogue New Brunswick, and the Boys and Girls Club of St. John. To honor veterinary doctors at the Atlantic Veterinary College, Sandra and Arthur made a donation to the University of Prince Edward Island, and they sponsor the SPCA and the St. John Animal Rescue League. Mrs. Irving earned a Bachelor of Arts with distinction from the University of New Brunswick in St. John and a Master of Arts from the University of Toronto. Her work has also touched academia. As chair of the President's Advisory Council of the Royal Society of Canada, she encouraged greater recognition of Canada's leading professors and researchers. She assisted the Royal Society in engaging youth and First Nations, extending its mandate to creative and performing arts, and mentoring young faculty. Sandra and Arthur also made a gift to establish RSC Atlantic to foster connections between outstanding scholars and universities in our region. A cancer survivor, Irving is dedicated to supporting research to find a cure and is a strong supporter of the Canadian Cancer Society. In recognition of her public service, Mrs. Irving was awarded the Queen's Golden Jubilee Medal, was made Honorary Fellow of the Royal Society of Canada, a Paul Harris Fellow by the Rotary Club of St. John, and was named to the Order of Canada. Most Reverend Chancellor, I present to you Mrs. Sandra Irving to have conferred upon her the degree of Doctor of Laws honoris causa.
By the authority vested in the office of the Chancellor by the Charter of St. Thomas University, I admit you, Sandra Irving, to the degree Doctors of Laws honoris causa, with all the rights, privileges, and honors pertaining thereto.
Congratulations, Dr. Irving. Will Mr. Alex Neve please stand? Alex Neve is Secretary General of Amnesty International Canada, a group independent of any political ideology, economic interest, or religion. An internationally respected human rights advocate, Mr. Neve has been a member of Amnesty International since his university days in 1985 and has led numerous human rights missions throughout Africa, Latin America, and Canada. He also serves on the boards of directors of the Canadian Centre for International Justice, the Centre for Law and Democracy, and Partnership Africa-Canada. Mr. Neve earned a Bachelor of Commerce and Bachelor of Laws from Dalhousie University and a Master's of International Human Rights Law from the University of Essex. Before joining Amnesty International, he worked nationally and internationally on refugee issues. He has served on the Immigration and Refugee Board of Canada, taught human rights and refugee law at Osgoode Hall Law School and the University of Ottawa, and has been affiliated with the Center for Refugee Studies at York University. Mr. Neve has written numerous reports for Amnesty International and appears regularly before Canadian parliamentary committees, as well as the United Nations and inter-American human rights bodies. A sought-after commentator on human rights issues, he has spoken at Oxford and Harvard, and he delivered the 25th VGOD Memorial Lecture in Human Rights at St. Thomas University. Mr. Neve is also an officer of the Order of Canada. Most Reverend Chancellor, I present to you Mr. Alex Neve to have conferred upon him the degree of Doctor of Laws honoris causa.
By the authority vested in the office of the Chancellor by the Charter of St. Thomas University, I admit you, Alex Neve, to the degree Doctor of Laws honoris causa, with all the rights, privileges, and honors pertaining thereto.
Congratulations, Dr. Neve. I now invite Dr. Alex Neve to come forward and address the convocation.
Well, thank you so very much. I would like to begin by, of course, acknowledging that the land on which we gather and the land in which I've received this tremendous honor is the traditional unceded territory of the Maliseet and Mi'kmaq peoples, which certainly adds to the richness and history that surrounds us and the meaningfulness of this particular honor. Lieutenant Governor Roy Vianneau, Premier Gallant, Chancellor Bishop Harris, President Russell, fellow honoree Dr. Irving, class of 2017, and ladies and gentlemen, my first words very much are words of appreciation because this truly is a tremendous honor. And I have to say doubly so because it is happening here in New Brunswick and at St. Thomas in particular. Part of that is personal, as we are just up the highway from where I spent most of my growing up years, by the sea in St. Andrews. And this province has absolutely been central, therefore, to my own journey as a human rights activist, and therefore it is so very fitting that this honor happens here at home in New Brunswick. It is special as well because St. Thomas is such an important institution for rights and justice in New Brunswick, the Maritimes, and really in our country, through the Atlantic Human Rights Centre and the university's vibrant human rights program. So for a human rights advocate, that clearly adds much to the honor I am receiving today, that it is bestowed by an institution so demonstrably committed to improving our community, our country, and really the world. So in that spirit, let me heartily thank the St. Thomas community for this humbling recognition. And while I certainly embrace it, there is no question, as is always the case with human rights, that this is far beyond my honor alone. This is about my amazing family, the fabulous friends and colleagues who I have worked with in human rights struggles over the decades. And really, most poignantly, it is really a testament to the courageous, untiring women, men, and young people at the front lines of human rights change here in Canada and right around the world who have always inspired and taught me so very much. Of course, let me very enthusiastically congratulate today's graduates. You each have your own remarkable story as to what led you to this moment of accomplishment and your own evolving plans and dreams for what lies ahead. and you richly deserve all of the recognition you are basking in today. Into that mix, I hope you will allow me to add a few words of challenge and expectation. And I do so because our human family needs you to march from this hall and this time of achievement ready and determined to be a voice and a force for respecting and safeguarding and promoting dignity and respect and tolerance in our communities, in our nation, and around the world. No small responsibility, but also what a time of amazing, rich opportunity and possibility for you. I really wish I could say otherwise, but we do indeed, in May 2017, so very much need you to be those voices for rights and for justice, to be so as quietly or as loudly as you wish and are able. And that is because, to be somber for a moment, there is much unease and division and inequality and fear in our world. War and other grave human rights crises continue in far too many nations, Syria, South Sudan perhaps topping the list. A growing number of politicians in a growing number of countries have waged election campaigns and even come into office, targeting and scapegoating some of the most vulnerable among us for punishment and exclusion. We face the most staggering refugee crisis the world has seen in generations, with governments, in fact, spending more time, imagination, and money on keeping refugees away than on ensuring their safety and well-being. And almost everywhere, it has never been so perilous in our world to be a human rights activist, as governments of all stripes crack down against those who stand up for safety, equality, and respect. Your dreams, your example, and your efforts to fashion a more just world will truly matter in the years to come. So let me take a moment and whisk you far from here and share the conviction and courage of an unsung hero whose example I hope you will hold on to and help keep you true as life's challenges and opportunities continue to unfold. It speaks to us of learning, of teaching, of justice, and a better world. And it's off to Africa, a forgotten corner of Sudan, along that country's volatile border with deeply troubled South Sudan. And there, the people of the Nuba Mountains have endured 6 years of being attacked, chased, and killed by their own government, most often by means of barrel bombs that rain down from high-flying Antonov aircraft. No one knows how many have been killed and injured. We do know that hundreds of thousands of people have fled their homes, most of whom are still trapped inside Sudan. That is where I met Al-Fadil, at a displaced persons camp sheltering thousands of people trying to find protection amidst mountainous boulders and crevices. As they did one day a few months before I met him. And Al-Fadil's wife, 8 months pregnant at that time, was struck and killed instantly by shrapnel, and their baby did not survive. 2 months later, the bombs were back. This time they flattened Al-Fadil's modest shelter, and his elderly mother and his 2-year-old son were inside at the time, but emerged miraculously unscathed. Al-Fadil then made arrangements for his son and mother to make the grueling journey to the relative safety of a refugee camp across the border in South Sudan, a country that itself is in the throes of civil war and famine, but a place where at least the Antonovs do not rain death down from the skies. But Al-Fadil stayed behind. He was clearly a man who loved his son with all his heart, so why had he not left? Well, his answer was simple. Alphaville was a teacher. And in that camp, dug into the Nuba Mountains with a shady tree as a schoolhouse with no textbooks, notebooks, pencils, chalk, desks, or chairs, with no other trained teacher, Alphaville was keeping learning alive for 1,000 young kids. And he put it plainly. The reason that we are not free, the reason we suffer so much injustice, the reason our rights are violated, it is because we have not learned enough. And if we put learning on hold, we will never be free and our suffering will never end. I have to stay here and help keep that dream alive. And stay he did, and no doubt he is still there. If we put learning on hold, we will never be free. There is nothing quite so humbling as to spend time with a person like Alphaville and be reminded how precious, absolutely precious it is to learn, but also to teach, and how integral learning and teaching is to justice and freedom. And to stand there and hope that you would have the same courage as he, but wonder if you could. So what of that do I want you to take from his story? Well, there's two very simple encouragements. First, as you leave this hall today, do not stop the learning or the teaching. Remember Alphaville's words, we have not yet learned enough. Your learning has broadened your experiences, shaped your values, nourished your minds, given you knowledge, and helped you develop skills and abilities that will now serve you so very well in the world. It has opened up an immense future for you that is full of possibilities. But your own learning, and in turn the ways in which you will help and encourage others to learn, will not and should not stop here today. For if there is anything that learning should teach us above almost anything else, it is that the learning is never done. Every day, there will always be so much more to learn, and increasingly, so much to teach. So never stop. Second, learn and teach so as to make this world of ours right. Learn so as to make this a world of rights and open doors to help others learn about rights. A world in which the human rights of people fleeing the dangerous skies of Sudan will at long last matter as much as the rights of all of us gathered to celebrate this afternoon in Fredericton. As Alphaville saw it, learn and spread learning with an eye to freedom. This all matters so very much because we do have far to go in putting the world to rights. The poverty that divides us is despicable. The fear-mongering racism and misunderstandings that separate us have become deep chasms. The safety that is taken for granted by many of us, but so cruelly elusive for so many more, is unforgivable. The opportunity, security, and respect that is denied to so many millions of women and girls, including Indigenous women and girls in our own country, is a source of deep global shame. But none of that is inevitable, not at all inevitable, unless we let it be so. The ability to ease these injustices lies in your hands. It comes by treating both your closest friend and the stranger on the street with the same sense of respect and compassion, speaking out when you witness intolerance or prejudice, reaching out when you sense someone in need, keeping your mind open to understanding what is different and unknown to you, joining others in working for change at home or far from home, big leaps forward or small steps ahead. making it absolutely clear to your political leaders that you demand and expect government committed to nothing less than justice, rights, and equality for all. And all along the way, learning more about yourself, learning more about others, learning more about our world. Every voice that speaks out, every person who refuses to remain silent, that above all is my hope and my dream for you today. So onward, friends, onward, St. Thomas University, class of 2017. Together, let us build that world that is right. Thank you, congratulations, and best wishes.
Thank you, Dr. Neve. We proceed now to the central part of our program, the Conferral of Degrees upon our students. After the degrees have been conferred, our Dean, Dr. Michael Boudreau, will read the names of the graduates for presentation to the Chancellor. Karen Preston, our Registrar, will assist the President with the presentation of diplomas. We begin with the Bachelor of Applied Arts. Our Bachelor of Applied Arts degrees are offered in collaboration with the New Brunswick Community College. Would the candidates for the degree Bachelor of Applied Arts please stand? Most Reverend Chancellor, I have the honor of presenting these candidates for the degree Bachelor of Applied Arts. I testify that they have completed the requirements for that degree and have been found worthy to have it conferred upon them today.
By the authority vested in the office of the Chancellor by the Charter of St. Thomas University, I admit said candidates to the degree Bachelor of Applied Arts with all the rights, privileges, and honors pertaining thereto.
Emily Ann Brown. Nicole Lee Cormier.
Would the candidate for the degree Bachelor of Social Work please stand? Most Reverend Chancellor, I have the honor of presenting this candidate for the degree Bachelor of Social Work. I testify that she has completed the requirements for that degree and has been found worthy to have it conferred upon her today.
By the authority vested in the office of the Chancellor by the Charter of St. Thomas University, I admit said candidate to the degree Bachelor of Social Work with all the rights, privileges, and honors pertaining thereto.
Amanda Gallant.
Would the candidates for the degree Bachelor of Arts and Honor Certificates in Arts please stand? Most Reverend Chancellor, I am pleased to present to you these candidates for the degree Bachelor of Arts and for honor certificates in arts. I testify that they have completed the requirements for the degree or diploma and have been found worthy of having it conferred upon them today.
By the authority vested in the office of the Chancellor by the Charter of St. Thomas University, I admit said candidates to the degree Bachelor of Arts and honors certificates in arts with all the rights, privileges, and honors pertaining thereto.
Maggie Abudou. Elisa Akakirian. Alexandra Albert Laundrie. Kendall Victoria Alley. Graduating with distinction and the prize for economics in 4th year, David Ni Tete N.A. Kutri Awi. Claudia Bashaw. Hannah Emma Jean Baker. David Elric Bardwell. Carly Brianna Barton. Chantal Pauline Bastarash. Graduating with distinction, Shannon Elise Benjamin. Graduating with distinction, Denise Christine Billings. Laura Beth Bird. Simon Bissonnette. Graduating with distinction, John Paul Blackmore. Graduating with distinction and the recipient of the Congregation of Notre Dame Prize for Religious Studies in 4th year, Adam Philip Gilbert Blanchard. Marc-André Gilles Blin. Stefan George Blin. Kennedy Mariah Bowden Welsh. Sarah Ann Donna Brew. Mallory Claire Brennol. Graduating with distinction, Danielle Christine Marie Brewer. Amber Lynn Brito. Carly Ann Bryson. Mary Jane Catherine Brothers. Louis Anthony Bryan. Alicia Diane Bowman. Graduating with distinction and the recipient of the David Adams Richards Prize for Nonfiction, Maria Jose Burgoyne Husband. Haley Dawn Butler. Robin Elizabeth Caldwell. Evan Todd Cameron. Eleanor Jane Carlton. Patrick Carrier. Nicole Drew Chasson. Sophie Chasson Landry. Jessica Olivia Christmas. Brooklyn and Cecilia Collins. Brittany Ann Colpitz. Austin Bradley Comeau. Emma Brianne Corey. Gabrielle Jacqueline Cormier. Kayla Sharon Cox. Matthew Broderick Sean Cripps. Natalie Jean Crocker. Graduating with distinction, Benjamin James Krause. Graduating with distinction, Caitlin Page Cumberson. Graduating with distinction, Kayla Dawn Cummings. Sarah Faith Cunningham. Allison Elizabeth Joanne Curran. Emily Kate Cusack. Raquel Cherie Sear. Kate Mary Daly. Fernanda Germaini Damani. Christy Lee Davidson. Graduating with distinction and recipient of the prize for journalism in 4th year, Aubrey Nathan DeLong. Graduating with distinction, Catherine Lynn Dion. Amy Patrick Duffield. Cassandra Lynn Dugay. Chloe Dunphy. Devin Alexandra Dale Dupuis. Jacob Walter Eatman. Chloe Catherine Grace Eisner. Graduating with distinction and the prize for journalism in 4th year, Danielle Alexandra Simone Elliott. Corinne Enos. Emily Joy Esmelian. Jordan Elaine Andrea Fairley. Samantha Nicole Fergus. Rebecca Grace Flanagan. Adrian Stewart Francis. Graduating with distinction, Joanne Ellen Fullerton. Megan Dawn Gallant. Luke William Garrigan. President Russell, you will be joined on stage to help confer this degree by Alison Bellier, an employee of St. Thomas University. Dale Mark Geddes. Abigail Louise Giberson. Graduating with distinction, Madison Page Gillis. Marissa Christine Gillis. Graduating with distinction and recipient of the prize for communications in 4th year, Sean Robert Goff. Thank you. Graduating with distinction, Kira Jean Gray. Kelsey Janelle Grieve. Kiera Haley Gruben. Andrea Margarita Guevara Colderes. Graduating with distinction, Margaret Kelly Gunter. Graduating with distinction, Jillian Melissa Denise Hache. Bryn Ann Haley. Courtney Lee Hannon. Cassandra Rose Hanson. Sean Taylor Harding. Lauren Elizabeth Harris. Jillian Marie Hawks. Carney William Alexander Hutis. Adam Robert Horan. Graduating with distinction, Isabella Mary Horswill. Alicia Marie Rochelle Hoovey. Graduating with distinction and the prize for communications in 4th year, Hadil Ibrahim. Connor Reuben J. Kristen Jan Jewett. Emma Mary Victoria Jones. Kaya Marie Harris Jordan. Graduating with distinction, Victoria Lynn Judd. Molly Kearney. It's not vodka. I wish it was vodka. Graduating with distinction, Joseph Gerald Keefe. Graduating with distinction and recipient of the Craig J. Carlton QC Essay Prize in Human Rights, Mallory Juliana Kelly. Waleed Kokar. Jessica Dawn Kingston. Amy Elizabeth Knox. Graduating with distinction, Jessica Anne Marie Knox. Marishiko Koshuke. Paige Brandy Canuck. Christian Eric Lakes. Zachary Peter Lakes. Jeremy Danielle Renee Laundrie. Briar Ann Lapointe. Valerie Ann Langevin. Brandon Scott LeBlanc. Robert Todd Legere. Jessica Lee Lamond. Shay Dawn Lernowitz. Tyler Ryan Lifford. Brittany Lynn Lively. Ashley Marie Lord. Karen Ann Love. Hannah Olivia Lucas. Amanda Grace Lutz. Anna Kathleen McDonald. Jacqueline Marie McDonald. Jenna Courtney McDonald. Kirsten Ray McDonald. Nathan Arch McDonald. There you go. President Russell, you will be joined on stage by Dr. Gail McDonald and Dr. Jonathan Ron to confer the following degree with distinction: Bria Claire McDonald Ron. Douglas Allen McFarland. Shelby Doyle McIntyre. Graduating with distinction, Evelyn Lily Marie McNaughton. Graduating with distinction, Maureen Heather McNeil. Graduating with distinction and recipient of the Marguerite Michaud Prize for French Canadian Literature, Cassie Lane McPhail. Shania Elizabeth McGuire. Jamie Lyanne MacArthur Britt. Graduating with distinction, Jenna Marie McCulley. Graduating with distinction, Claire Olivia McCusker. Graduating with distinction, Alicia Joy McFadden. Molly Elizabeth McIntyre. Allison Anna McKenna. Maggie Elizabeth McLean. Taylor Arena McLean. Carissa Ashley McTeague. Jordan Hannah Noel Mead Baxter. Brandon Thornton Emile Michaud. Mattia Misago. Catherine Isabella Mitchell. Alexandra Renee Fope Monteith. Catherine Samantha Morehouse. Natasha Denise Mullins. Graduating with distinction, Nikita Lucy Mullins. Katie Melissa Dawn Munn. Allison Claire Murphy. Rachel Shea Murphy. Graduating with distinction, Rebecca Lee Nelson. Brandon Paul Nitz. Robin Lee O'Reilly. Graduating with distinction, Christelle Alexandra Ortiz. Luisa Fernanda Ospina. Amy Elizabeth Dawn Parker. Graduating with distinction, Gina Muriel Parkinson. Graduating with distinction, Caitlin Marie Paul. Cody Jacob Peters. Vanessa Erica Peterson. Emily A.M. Finney. Tyler William Piercy. Ayla Marie Poitras. Angela Nicole Polshes. Ali Alberto Ponte. Caitlin May Poole. Jillian Mary Proser. Graduating with distinction, Tiffany Ann Proser. Joshin Chin. Kathleen Bronwyn Rankin. Graduating with distinction, Morgan Stephanie Regular. Graduating with distinction, Amy Ellen Reed. Allison Catherine Riley. Emma Dale Riley. Alexander Stefan Ryu. Adriana Cecilia Rivas. Justin Lane Robar. Andrea Valentina Robertson. Kelly Rooney. Brian David Rose. Graduating with distinction, Joey Lauren Roswell. Ashley Lynn Russell. Keaton Jeffrey Russell. Kirsten Allison Russell. Alice Jean Ryan. Emily I. Catherine Ryan. Chantal Anik Saunier. Jeremy Joseph Saunier Arsenault. Graduating with distinction, Charlotte Swartz. The recipient of the Lawrence Desmond Prize for Medieval History, Emily Hannah Scott. Marissa Evelyn Eva Mae Scott. Hey, 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 hey. President Russell, for the deferral of this degree, you will be joined on stage by Susan Sears, the heart of the Dean's Office at St. Thomas University, Brad Thomas Sears. Amy Kathleen Shepard. Blake Emily Jennifer Pardy. Francis Sirois. Stephanie Lynn Sirois. Catherine Michelle Smith. Kristen Marie Smith. Megan Ashley Smythe. Eliza Kate Snyder. Jeremy R. Speller. Graduating with distinction, Jody Lynn Stewart. Graduating with distinction, Mackenzie Catherine Stockford. Natalie Marie Sturgeon. Taylor Elizabeth Sweeney. Carly Melissa Taggart. Graduating with distinction, Mackenzie Marie Taylor. Bronte Faith Thomas. Matthew Jeffrey Shields Thompson. Sarah Sue Thompson. Annie Danielle Tremblay. Clay Edward Tremere. Gregory Sean Watts. Caitlin Weatherby. Megan Jenna Wells. Andrew Arden Allen Whitaker. Kyle Richard Wilson. Jonathan Andrew Wilton. Graduating with distinction, Michael Adam Wood. Gregory Patrick Young. Alyssa Michelle Caney Youssef. Graduating with honors in criminology and with distinction, and recipient of the Adil Lodi Prize for highest standing in criminology and criminal justice, Mary Frances Ruby McCluskey. Graduating with honors in criminology and with distinction, Fanwy Gwyneth Idome Thompson. Graduating with honors in criminology and with distinction, Jedediah Matthews Wilson. Graduating with honors in English literature and language and with distinction, and recipient of the Bishop Hill Prize for English in 4th year, Hannah Isabel Menard Agnew. Graduating with honors in English language and literature and with distinction, Catherine Elizabeth Woulette. Graduating with honors in English language and literature and with distinction, Blair Merriam Weber. Graduating with honors in French, Jessica Lynn Barna. President Russell, you will be joined on stage to confer this degree by Dr. Barry Craig, with honors in Great Books and with distinction, and Great Books honors, Best Honors Thesis, Catherine Craig. Graduating with honors in Great Books and with distinction, Jeremy Joseph Keats. Graduating with honors in Great Books and with distinction, Andrew Solano. Graduating with honors in history and with distinction, Rebecca Lynn Boone. Graduating with honors in history and with distinction, Caitlin Joelle Copeland. President Russell, you will be joined on stage by Professor Andrew Titus to confer the following degree with honors in history, Samuel Curtis Miller Titus. Graduating with honors in interdisciplinary studies, Joshua Levi Lowell Steves. Graduating with honors in Native Studies and with distinction, Jessica Ann Joyce Lyle. Graduating with honors in philosophy, Molly Hannah Van Meriken. Graduating with honors in psychology and with distinction, and recipient of the prize for 4th year and the Ray and Lorraine Irving Prize for Best Thesis, Hannah Jasmine and Anastay. Graduating with honors in psychology and with distinction, and the prize for psychology in 4th year, Paige Alain Boisvert. Graduating with honors in psychology and with distinction, and recipient of the Dr. Helen Lyons Memorial Prize for Psychology Honors in 4th year and the prize for psychology in 4th year, Kaylee Janelle Delushri. Graduating with honors in psychology and with distinction, Claire Elizabeth Dwyer. Graduating with honors in psychology and with distinction, and recipient of the Canadian Psychological Association Certificate for Academic Excellence, Nicholas Forbes Levesque. Graduating with honors in psychology and with distinction and recipient of the Ray Loren Irving Prize for Best Thesis, Janelle Renee Michard. Graduating with honors in psychology and with distinction and recipient of the Canadian Psychological Association's Certificate for Academic Excellence, Tyson Jody O'Donnell. With honors in psychology with distinction, Mitchell Sifret Capelin. President Russell, you will be joined on stage again by Dr. Gail MacDonald and Dr. Jonathan Ron to confer with honors in Science and Technology Studies and the recipient of the Science and Technology Studies Prize, Iris Danielle MacDonald Ron. Graduating with honors in sociology and with distinction, Brianna Michelle Gallant. Graduating with honors in sociology and with distinction, Dawson Robert Harrison. Graduating with honors in sociology and with distinction, Kelsey Ann Kathleen Hartland. Graduating with honors in sociology and with distinction, Carly Eve Morrison. Graduating with honors in sociology and with distinction and recipient of the Sociology Prize for 4th year, Alexandra Frances Woodworth. Graduating with honors in Spanish, Francois Dewal Basset. Graduating with honors in Spanish and with distinction, Marco Cordone.
Please join me in a round of applause for our graduates. Thank you. It's now my pleasure to introduce the valedictorian for today's convocation. The valedictorian is chosen by the graduating class in an election held each spring. And I am pleased to introduce this year's valedictorian, Shania McGuire.
Okay. Thank you all for coming. Thank you, God Class of 2017, for this honor. It is absolutely amazing. Lieutenant Governor Ravino, Premier Brian Gallant, Most Reverend Chancellor Bishop Harris, President and Vice Chancellor Russell, honorary degree recipients, honored guests, faculty, staff, family members, friends, and most importantly, Grad Class 2017. I would first like to acknowledge and respect that we are currently on unceded Maliseet territory and acknowledge our Indigenous graduates. So the first day of classes at STU, I was kind of thrown off. I walked into an English class at 8:30 in the morning and I was told to write a paper with no guidelines, no topic, no minimum length, and no format. I had never felt so lost and overwhelmed in my life until right now. I'm back in that moment again. We have no guidelines, we have no minimum length, and we have no format as to how we live our lives. Right now, you might be feeling overwhelmed at what is to come, but try and take a step back and realize that now you have the freedom to write your own chapters in your own book, and that's going to be the best thing that's ever happened to you. 1,339 days. That was August 31st of 2013. That was the first day we all stepped on campus as a team. We walked onto campus and we experienced some very awkward icebreakers together, and we experienced a cheer-off that we will never forget. Though that might have been a very intense and competitive time, we all came together to make Welcome Week an unforgettable time. Whether you lived on or off campus, many hours were spent together watching movies or eating far too much pizza or cafeteria food. I'll never forget a good popcorn chicken bowl, chicken tender wrap, or a big breakfast. We spent many late nights and early mornings together doing the best we could to make it to this day. Whether you participated in coffee houses, last class bashes, musical performances, house parties, Shinorama, or you spent far too many nights at the cellar, we all have made St. Thomas our home for the last 4 years, and I know there's no place I'd rather be. Today's a day where we are torn between reliving the joy of our memories or focusing on the excitement of the near future. Shall we look back at the long Tim Hortons line? Or the late nights spent in JDH writing 7 papers when you were only enrolled in 5 courses? We can look back at that past today, or we can take the leap ahead. We can seek the greatness that we are destined for. We have complete control of the next chapter of our lives, and even though you might not know what it entails, you should absolutely be excited as you have the freedom to choose what happens. We walked onto our beautiful campus 4 years ago as an unwritten book, eager to fill our pages. It feels like just yesterday that we moved into our new apartment or dorm room with complete strangers, not knowing that they would be some of the most important people that you would meet in 4 years. You might be sitting beside your best friend right now, or a complete stranger, but you know that you'll always have something in common with them. You both chose to further your education at St. Thomas, the wonderful institution, and because of that, you already have a connection that is unbreakable. The T-pins that we received in first year were the beginning of appreciation for a higher education and becoming a part of a community that is so welcoming to everyone who comes from anywhere. St. Thomas has something for everybody, and though I didn't have the same experience as any of you guys, we'll all remember the great times that we had here. Now, my fellow grads, today we turn the page. Tomorrow is a blank page, and you are the author. You have control of what happens and are free to take the book of your life into your own hands. Who knows what tomorrow brings? Maybe you'll sleep until noon. I know I will. Maybe you have a full-time job. If so, congratulations. Or maybe you're taking time to travel, and in that case, I'm extremely jealous. But no matter what happens, your choice, no matter what happens, I know that you're all going to succeed because St. Thomas has prepared you for anything that comes your way. St. Thomas University has instilled a tremendous fire in all of us. We have a new passion for life and a desire to make the world we live in a better place for everyone. You are some of the most amazing critical thinkers that this world will ever encounter, and tomorrow is the day that you are free to decide how your new chapter begins. We owe it to our professors, the staff, our university, each other, our families, our friends, and most importantly, ourselves for achieving this huge accomplishment. We have pushed ourselves to the limits over the last 4 years, and we have come out on top. We've had some of our most high and low moments, and we are now stronger than ever and can take on anything that comes our way. You should all be so proud to say, "I did it, Mom." In the wise words of Steve Jobs, your time is limited, so don't waste it living someone else's life. Don't let the noise of others' opinions drown out your own inner voice. You are the authors of your own book, and now, grad class of 2017, I know that you will all be best-selling novels. It is our time to use our own ideas, thoughts, and creativity to write our own chapters. Going on from today, what the future holds is impossible to know, but what I do know is that we will all be successful in whatever we do. In being with this grad class in the last 4 years, I know that we are a force to be reckoned with, and with that, we will do great and inspiring things. I look forward to seeing you all at our reunions and hearing about the chapters which you will fill your own novels with. And most importantly, I look forward to seeing your well-done reference pages. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Shania. Our program this afternoon has a ceremonial conferral of title that is very special to our university community. The rank of Professor Emeritus is awarded to a retired professor who has served our university with distinction. This is determined by teaching that is recognized by colleagues and students to be of exceptional merit, extensive research and publications of unusually high quality, and a significant contribution to the development of the university. In our 107-year history, we have designated just 10 individuals as Professor Emeritus, and today we are pleased to present our 11th. Dr. Deborah Vanden has been a valued contributor to St. Thomas University since joining the Department of Gerontology in 1991. She came to St. Thomas after earning a Bachelor of Arts and a Master's of Library Science from the State University of New York at Albany, a Master of Arts degree from UMB, and a PhD from Loyola University of Chicago. She received the prestigious appointment to a Canada Research Chair in Qualitative Research and Analysis in 2006. Generous with her time, Dr. Vanden mentored many faculty and students, and she was the impetus behind numerous gatherings on campus, from informal morning coffees to academic get-togethers to interfaith activities. As Canada Research Chair, Dr. Vanden organized annual qualitative workshops that included public lectures and sessions led by top researchers in North America, and her monthly qualitative lunches attracted scholars from around the region. Dr. Vanden scholarly interests focus on aging, qualitative research methods, gender, widowhood, and marginalized populations. Her book, Qualitative Research in Action, a Canadian primer, is considered one of the top Canadian sociological methods textbooks and is going into its 3rd edition. Her other books include By Himself, The Older Man's Experience of Widowhood, and The Widowed Self, The Older Woman's Journey Through Widowhood, among many others. Over her career, she presented at least 25 invited papers and keynote lectures, 67 conference papers, and has published 41 peer-reviewed articles in academic journals. She is also a member of the Global Affiliated Faculty of the Baha'i Institute of Higher Education, an underground university in Iran that provides courses to Baha'i students who are denied an education because of their religious beliefs and whose Iranian professors have been imprisoned. In addition to her scholarly work, Dr. Vanden served on STU's Research Ethics Board and Senate Research Committee and was a chair of the Gerontology Department. Most Reverend Chancellor, I am honored to present to you for the conferral of the title Professor Emeritus, Dr. Deborah Vanden Would yeah. I would now like to ask our Dean, Dr. Michael Boudreau, to come forward and announce this year's Special Merit Awards for faculty.
The John Mcentee Memorial Teaching Award for full-time faculty goes to a Dr. Amanda DiPaolo, a professor in our Human Rights program and who has excelled at teaching and innovation, particularly with the development of our moot court program. I invite Dr. DiPaolo to come forward to receive her award from President Russell. This year's recipient of the University Special Merit Award for Scholarship is English professor Dr. Matt Robinson. Dr. Robertson's scholarly work on modernist female authors has been recognized internationally. I would invite Dr. Robinson to please come forward to receive this award from President Russell. This year's recipient of the University Special Merit Award for Service is Dr. Erin Fredericks. Dr. Fredericks is being recognized for her advocacy and support for the LGBTQIA+ community on campus and in Fredericton. Would Dr. Fredericks please come forward to receive her award from President Russell?
At today's convocation, we are awarding the University Medal for Academic Excellence in Arts. This is the highest award in arts offered by the university and is made possible through an endowment created by President Emeritus Dr. Daniel O'Brien and his family. The University Medal for Academic Excellence in Arts is awarded to the graduating student with the highest overall standing in the Bachelor of Arts program, and this year goes to Hannah Anstey. Please come forward and receive the medal from the University Chancellor, Most Reverend Robert Harris. The University Medal for Academic Excellence in Social Work, also made possible through an endowment created by President Emeritus Dr. O'Brien and his family, goes to Andrea Moody. Unfortunately, Andrea was not able to be with us this afternoon, but we will ensure that she receives her medal at a later occasion. We now proceed to the announcement of the highest award received by a graduating student, the Governor General's Academic Medal. The Governor General's Medal, established in 1873, is one of the most prestigious awards that can be received by a student in a Canadian educational institution for exceptional academic achievement. On behalf of His Excellency, the Right Honorable David Johnston, Governor General of Canada, we are pleased to present this year's academic medal to Kaylee DeLucre. Please come forward to receive the medal from the Lieutenant Governor. I now call upon Mr. Peter Forstall, Chair of St. Thomas University Board of Governors, to offer closing remarks.
Thank you. It's been a long afternoon, a great afternoon. So I'll try to be like Shania McGuire and be mercifully brief. Your Honor, Lieutenant Governor Jocelyn Roy-Vino, the Honorable Brian Gallant, Premier of New Brunswick, Chancellor, Very Reverend Bishop Robert Harris, our Vice Chancellor and our President, Don Russell, honored guests, fellow members of the St. Thomas Board of Governors, members of the St. Thomas Senate, St. Thomas faculty, and staff. Most importantly, the class of 2017, including our honorary degree recipients. And thank you, Alex, for a very inspired address this afternoon. That was really very interesting, very important. On behalf of the St. Thomas Board of Governors, I want to congratulate this class of 2017, and I want to thank their families and their friends for the support and the encouragement given to all of you over the past few years. For our graduates, you've worked hard, Lord knows you've persevered, and we celebrate the personal achievements that today's ceremony represents. We're very proud of you, and we have great hopes as each of you start out to make your way in this world. Now, in the coming years, in addition to forging your careers, you will have the opportunity to contribute to your community, whether it is here in New Brunswick, elsewhere in Canada, or around the world. And I am confident that the education that you received here at St. Thomas will steer you very well in the future. Today is your achievement, but we always remember that we have been supported on every step of this journey. The teaching and scholarship of our faculty provided you with a high-quality education. The dedication of the St. Thomas staff helped create a wonderful learning environment. And the support from the alumni and friends of St. Thomas University have created many opportunities for you. And your families, the mothers, the fathers, the brothers, the sisters, the husbands, the wives, I dare say the sons and the daughters, the partners and friends who are here with you today, they have supported you in ways that only you know. On behalf of the Board of Governors, I hope that you carry with you the lessons that you've learned here at St. Thomas University, wherever you go. And I hope that you keep forever the friendships you have forged amongst your St. Thomas family. As graduates, you are, like me, a proud alumnus of St. Thomas University. You are now and will forever be the class of 2017, Tommies forever.
Thank you, Mr. Forrestal. This brings the 2017 Spring Convocation ceremony to a close. Congratulations on behalf of myself and the faculty to our graduates, and thank you to their family and friends for joining us today. I would also like to thank the Thomas for providing today's music. After the platform party and the graduates have left the building, you are invited to join us for a reception in the dining room at George Martin Hall on St. Thomas campus. The National Anthem this afternoon will be sung by St. Thomas student Blair Weber. Please stand for the National Anthem and remain standing until the procession has left the building. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon.
Oh, Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all thy sons command. Car t'embrasse porter l'épée, il sait porter la croix. Ton histoire est une épopée des plus brillants exploits. God, keep our land glorious and free. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for